Trek.
Roll cameras.
Set. And 3, 2, 1, action.
Amanda! Amanda!
We shot the exterior planet Vulcan at Vasquez Rocks.
Vasquez Rocks was used as a filming location since the early 1900s, and it was used, of course, in the original Star Trek series where Kirk fought the Gorn. JJ responded immediately to the main rock formation, which is iconic, and it's famous, and it's really freaking cool.
So we're up here, he's materializing, and now we have this, we have that, so he goes like this, and comes down, and then we go with him, and come down and look up as we see giant rocks.
That was arduous, Vasquez Rocks. I mean, it was like so weird to drive like 45 minutes into the desert, and then there's just like, you know, a movie camping out there. It was one of the very few times that I felt like, because it wasn't a controlled environment, you know, ankle twisting or falling was a real possibility. And they had a lot of smoke and big fans, and it was the kind of day at the end of which I felt like I really earned something.
Vasquez Rocks is a county park, and it's governed by the Park Service, and they protect it.
You can't damage it in any way. So if you have falling rocks, they can't hit a single plant. They can't hit a single piece of vegetation because that's being saved for the public, and rightfully so.
I brought one rubber rock. I just wanted to push one rubber rock off and see what it looks like. Go ahead and push it out, Bill. Let's get an idea.
Okay, coming down.
So anytime we had a rock that was supposed to tumble by, we had to make sure that their path would not land or crush anything. And dust. Because you can't bring any non-native dirts into a park, because who knows what's in it. There could be spores in it. There could be anything that could change the composition of what that ground is. And so it costs, 50 times more than regular dust. So you're going through all these hoops just to make this relatively simple effect.
But it was significant to go there. It just feels otherworldly.
We were in this huge memorial chapel in Rose Hills for the Vulcan Science Academy Council Chamber.
It was logical to cultivate multiple options.
Logical, but unnecessary. You're hereby accepted to the Vulcan Science Academy.
There's a triangular symbol that represents everything Vulcan, and we reference that all over the place in the movie, from Spock's captain's chair in the jellyfish cockpit to this location, where the structure of the ceiling is this enormous peak, and its skeleton repeats and repeats and repeats.
One of the big challenges was that we had views of Vulcan from space. We had views of Vulcan high orbit, like skydiving altitudes, all the way down to the ground. So this had to be a completely fleshed out world from all angles, because it's more Vulcan than we've ever seen in anything. To keep things realistic, like JJ wanted, a lot of our effects were sort of built off of what was already there. So in this scene in particular, that famous Vasquez rock at an angle is actually right here. And we just added to the background just to kind of make it feel like this was not just a one anomaly. And we did that with the Rose Hill Cemetery.
So that they do.
And then we also had to destroy this planet, which was a whole nother ball of wax.
You read the script, and if the biggest impression was, okay, this destroying Vulcan, that in my mind that's huge. How are we going to do that?
We didn't do it with miniatures. We were doing it using these very kind of advanced techniques in CG, where, you were literally taking that planet and simulating how that planet would be destroyed.
We were outside for the drill top sequence so that we could be in the real sunlight, have real atmosphere. Interacting, the wind, all of that stuff.
We were looking for something elevated where you have blue skies. So we just took a chance and went to Dodger Stadium because we had a blue sky vista.
In general, JJ likes to shoot things outside because of the natural lighting.
And when you're inside on a green screen soundstage, there's this strange kind of airless, unreal quality to it. And out in nature, there are imperfections all over the place, and that also lends authenticity.
And one thing you want to do is have the actors in their most kind of realistic setting that you can. So if you want someone to believe that they're standing on a platform that's 25,000 feet in the air, you know, you want to have some kind of visceral and actual practical experience to go along with just, hey, I'm acting and I'm up there. If you hit them with a lot of wind, then they start to physically believe that they're up there. And if the thing is supposed to have smoke, if you put smoke in there,
the drill platform was pretty cool.
It was pretty intense. We had these wind machines. I mean, sometimes I could barely stand.
We're in rubber spacesuits. There's, you know, two guys that are 6'4", 280 in front of us in full Romulan gear.
Then you had to kick some Romulan booty.
Here I am, you know, with like a rubber helmet swinging it at their heads, and it's, you know, it goes to show you what we do is incredibly fun. It is playing make-believe at an incredibly high level.
You can see how all the pieces kind of come together after lots of layers, lots of elements, you know, smoke, compositing, the rotoscoping, the lighting the 3D platform and adding all that in there.
We were intended to only have one set there, and then we added Delta Vega.
We were going to travel to Iceland and shoot the whole sequence with the big scary monsters and Chris Pine running around on the ice fields at the end of our shooting until it became too expensive.
We designed it so that JJ could direct two major sequences simultaneously, which he loved because he was like, yeah, I can do this. And by setting it up that way, we were able to get a lot more bang for our buck.
So when we did Delta Vega, although we built a very small set, which was only 50 or 60 feet long, you know, and when you see the sequence, it looks enormous, but what we were doing was we were just photographing the guy, but in natural daylight, and then we would take those images and drop them into other larger scale images that we'd created. But one thing that really helps you believe that he's real is he is in natural light.
We did a lot of work to make sure that the sets were in the right position. We did sun charts to make sure that, you know, we could get the optimum sun during the shooting and that, you know, those sets were in the right place.
We got into a little rain and wind, but we were able to get all the work done.
Snow's been an issue for years and years and years. You need lightweight particles that could fly through the air and something you could clean up. So when I first started in the business years ago, one of the answers to how to make snow was using bleached cornflakes.
What they used for snow is essentially like chopped up cotton or chopped up paper that they would blow through these huge fans that were like powered by Chevy 400 engines. At first, a lot of fun.
And as the time progressed, some of the paper products and foam products have come into use. And those are much safer for the actors. They look good, safe for the environment.
And as the weather kind of progressed, the paper shooting in your face, getting in your eyes. But what was really difficult about this, it was about 2 or 3 weeks of me just running away from invisible monsters. So it would be Tommy Gormley, the first AD, over the loudspeaker. Rolling, great.
Here we go. Set. Roll sound. It's engines on.
And monster chasing you. You look up. So a lot of responding to nothing. Action. Trip, you fall, you're watching the monster's chasing you, look scared, run.
That's great. That's your life? That's great.
We used a big Tustin blimp hangar from World War II for the Starfleet Academy shuttle hangar, and it was enormous.
We are at the Tustin hangars. This is the Air Force base that was built in 1941 for the blimps. They still service blimps here, and there's 2 of these locations, and one is about a block away.
They're both in peril. One is definitely being demolished, and the other one is hopefully sticking around. But they're huge. They're like 170 feet high and 1,000 feet long, and they're amazing. When you stand there and you realize that it's built out of wood, it's just fantastic.
But it's huge. The doors alone are pretty massive, and it's been standing for over 60 years. So it's a real impressive structure. I think the interesting piece of this is that it mixes the elements of something that's futuristic and yet still has to do with Earth. So we get the flavor of Earth, yet with the shuttles and the bays and the way it's built out and the design by Scott Chambliss just really tied in the 2 factors.
We built 2 big shuttles that were full scale that we used the interior and exterior of, and then behind that were portions of another one, and then beyond that it becomes the world of visual effects.
The rest of the hangar is real, but then we added all the other shuttles, we added all the other people, we added, lots of activity to that shot to make it feel like, wow, well, that first one looks real, so they all must be real.
You didn't call my name.
None of the other movies had much of the Starfleet Academy in them, and like with everything else, we wanted to make it feel accessible and grounded. And in places like the Great Assembly Hall, we're using actually a city council hall that was built in the 70s because it fits in the aesthetic sensibility of the world that we're creating, but it has that real texture to it. And Starfleet itself is in San Francisco, and I think we're going to see the Golden Gate Bridge out the window.
Thrusters on full.
We had huge challenges with security because we were in a very visible, very public place, and we were trying to control our wardrobe being seen and our locations being seen. And so the most impressive thing about the Long Beach Civic Center, in my opinion, was our tent world that we provided for the extras. I mean, it went from on top of a park in a tent, through a tunnel, down the stairs, through another tunnel, into our facility without anybody from the public ever seeing them. That was the most impressive part about that location.
For the exterior Starfleet Academy, we're at Cal State Northridge, shooting in front of an enormous library there that was also built in the 70s, which is supposed to be on the same campus as that interior assembly hall, and it's the same visual language. It's got this enormous stature to it and weight to it, but it also has like the clean 70s lines that we like for that world.
Okay, once again, please. Clear the set, we can see it empty. If you're not from Starfleet, go away.
We had a wide range of things to design. We see Earth in the future and San Francisco, which was kind of unique and fun because it's right here, basically where ILM is where Starfleet is.
The corn sequence was the most difficult. There wasn't really corn during our shoot schedule, and it was already harvested by the time we started shooting. It was the big white elephant in the room that nobody wanted to talk about until the end. So we ended up shooting it in Bakersfield up in Kern County, and we found a 2-mile stretch of road on a farm with dirt roads off to the side of it that we could actually do our chase sequence in a safe manner. Also had green. We did have to pay them to plant some wheat. We planted 2 giant, probably like 80 acres of wheat in order to keep it green on both sides, the whole stretch of the road. At the end of the car chase sequence, the car goes off into a quarry. So we found nearby a piece of property that we could cheat as the quarry edge. And then with the help of Roger Guyette and his peeps, we were able to put in this fantastic quarry that we found in Vermont. The quarry is the most exciting because it's 600 feet deep. It's, I think, 50 acres wide. It's unbelievable. It's a granite quarry, so it's really dramatic. It's going to look really fantastic.